This is More Knowledge, More Wealth with your host, Gabriel Shahin. Gabriel is a certified financial planner and a registered investment advisor at Falcon Wealth Planning. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this broadcast and does not represent that the services or securities discussed are suitable for any investor. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the broadcast in the process of making a full informed investment decision. Now here's your host, Gabriel Shahin.
Hello, this is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. My job is to go over the knowledge you need to increase your wealth. Now, to the listener, you can always reach out to myself or any one of our colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. My phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can get this episode or any one of our previous episodes as well. Just jump on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your good old podcast. We also have this knowledge center on our website, which is fantastic. We've built that based on the questions that you have, and then we're able to answer that so many people can see it. So much so where we have almost 1 million views in just over a year, which we're really, really excited about. So if you have any questions, please send it to radio@falconwp.com. That is radio@falconwp.com. Now, I'm the president of Falcon Wealth Planning. We are a fee-only, non-commissioned, true fiduciary, folks. And we talk about all important topics of personal finance. We want to help you in your specific situation. It doesn't matter what stage in life you're in, whether you're heading your retirement, whether you're soon to retire, whether you have questions on Social Security, businesses, real estate, investments, taxes, estate planning, insurance, folks, you name it, anything that involves a dollar sign, we can help you with, which is why we're offering 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time, folks, at no cost. Give us a call. Be happy to help. It doesn't matter where you are across the country. I just came from our Chicago office last week. We can help anywhere. We're happy to do so. Our phone number, 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That is falconwp.com for short. Folks, I wanted to talk to you about the recent halving of Bitcoin. So that's kind of like a big thing, right? Bitcoin's up almost 100% for the year. People are excited about it. So what do people normally do? They try to buy it. And the inflows of these spot Bitcoin ETFs that really started January 10th, that's when finally they approved 11 of these spot Bitcoin ETFs. People started getting excited and purchasing into it. Now, of course, naturally, what happens the first day or the first week, it ended up dropping like 10%. But, sometimes it's just not logical. For example, this Bitcoin halving. So I wanted to talk real quick about what the hell is this mining, Bitcoin, what does it do? How does it work? I thought that would be a really, really good topic because that's really the big thing here. People are scared because they can't touch it. People are scared because they don't understand it. They can't feel it. They don't understand the utilitarian use of Bitcoin. I thought, what better time to not have an episode here just to discuss how Bitcoin works. So let's do it, folks. What is Bitcoin? I mean, folks, essentially it's a ledger system and it's a decentralized currency, which nobody can control, including government. So it's this code that was written. And in 2008, this code was written where it is allowing for people to see everything that goes on in the blockchain, and you cannot corrupt it. For example, if someone tries to hack it and tries to insert a coin in there, you'll actually see that fake coin that doesn't belong in there. Some people say it's not safe. I could argue it's extremely safe. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to say everybody go buy Bitcoin. I'm just trying to give you knowledge of it, of how it works. Do I own it? Sure. Yes, I do. But I'm still saying that I'm comfortable, I don't want it to happen, where it can go to zero. So there is still high risks in this. We're in the early stages of digital assets or cryptocurrency. So it's a decentralized currency. Now, some people talk about fiat currency. You start hearing that a lot when you talk about the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Well, fiat currency, because currency is not backed by anything, for example, the United States government, as of 1971, it's not backed by gold. The money is just backed by the United States government and the promise and the value of the economy that it's tied to. That's the idea of it. So there are some crazy Bitcoin and digital asset folks that are out there saying, oh, I want all my money in Bitcoin because the US is going to go to zero. Like, really, guys? Like, they're crazy sometimes when I hear some of these people talk, but I'm just letting you know where it comes from. So people feel the sense of security that their money is safe because nobody can affect it, including governments. It's decentralized. There's nobody that can control it. And quite frankly, nobody even knows who invented Bitcoin. It's this code, a coder that built it that used a fake name. The name doesn't exist. So the question is Bitcoin, what is it? Okay. Is it a security, which is like a stock? Is it a currency, like the US dollar or the euro? Or is it a commodity like a gold? We can argue it's a combination of all of it, but essentially it's a digital currency. So because people exchange, like people agree for the price of Bitcoin, that's how it comes to the price. It's like that in the stock market, by the way. If everybody out there sold Apple stock, it would drive the price down, 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 and keep driving down, down, down. And there would have to be somebody who buys it. They call those broker dealers. Or there could be you and I that want to buy it. But let's just say everybody wants to sell at the same time, it would go to zero. So it's the same logic with Bitcoin. So understanding that this has a tangible value because of the technology behind the blockchain, which is this ledger system that everybody can see at all times. You could see your personal wallet if you have one at Coinbase or Gemini or whatever the case is. You know, your username and password and your code, you can actually see where it's stored on the blockchain. Now, here's the thing. There's 21 million coins that are ever out there, so it's scarce. This also makes it of some value. Now, it used to be back in 2008 where they would have 50 coins were awarded each time one was mined. Okay, so that's when the halvings occurred. So you would get 50 Bitcoins, and that would be awarded essentially every 10 minutes. Now, the way it works is that halving occurs when 210,000 blocks have been mined. That's just how it works. So you get awarded a new block for every time you are mining it. And so the idea is when you here's the math here. This is where it gets like so much complicated, but every 4 years, the value decreases by 50%. So in 2008, you were awarded 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes, and they're awarding. So what that means is you only had 210,000 of them that were out there. So if you take 50 times 210,000, you had mined in the first 4 years 10,500,000 of the 21 million Bitcoin. So almost half of them were within that first 4 years. Then it went from the award for every new block being created, went from 50 to 25. So what does that mean? 25 Bitcoins, 210,000, you would get 5,250,000. So there are miners that are out there, folks. There are companies like Marathon and Riot that's all they do. But see, if the value keeps getting cut in half, then the mining gets diminished because you don't get paid as much. This is why some people out there are saying the value will increase over time. And I understand the logic behind it. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every week and talking about all important topics of personal finance. The idea here is that since 21 million are only awarded, and it's roughly about 4 years that the halving occurs, and we just experienced one recently. So when you look at just the basic concept of this, where in 2008, you were getting 50 Bitcoins for every new block, and that takes every 10 minutes. So if you just do basic math, 210,000 times every 10 minutes, that's 2.1 million different times that you have to input a new mine. If every 10 minutes a new block is created and only 210,000 blocks are allowed per mining or per halving, that's 2.1 million minutes. Now, there's 1,440 minutes in a day, 525,600 minutes in a year. So if you divide 2.1 million over 525,600 minutes in a year, that means every 3.9954 years, a halving occurs. So you kind of know when that is, which is roughly April 16th, April 17th. And so it's going to be 4 years after that. So it went from 2008 to 2012, 50 to 25. So you were awarded for creating a new block. Instead of 50 Bitcoins, 25 Bitcoins. In 2016, it was 12.5 Bitcoins. 2020 was 6.25 Bitcoins. What was it recently? You were only getting 3.125. It keeps going half and half and half. In 2028, it's 1.56. Now it's crazy because we've already mined of the 21 million over almost 20,400,000. Kind of crazy, right? And the final mining will take place in the year 2140. That's almost 115 years from now until the full mine will be done. Now, some people say that Bitcoin is not green. Why? Because it takes a lot of energy, miners, coders, computers to be able to do that, to be able to be mining, to be able to extract it. Now, I'm not going to go into detail of mining, but there are some big players in the game. For example, the Riot CEO was just talking about how this halving will affect them. Well, they get paid less. This is why the logic, it will continue to go up. If there is less activity, right? That's going to cause an issue because demand is so scarce. So if supply goes less, demand goes higher. This is why people are getting more and more excited about it and why the price continues to go up. I mean, the amount of, we'll call it points in circulation, the 210,000 blocks are mined. It can be calculated fairly precisely. Average block time is about 10 minutes, which is close to 4 years. That simple logic is what makes it so much in demand. And when you take a look at the utilitarian use of it, it is designed as a way of exchange. And there are countries like El Salvador where they've actually now using this Bitcoin currency as their day-to-day use. Now, people are seeing this as an investment, and I get it. I get it because it's not like a normal currency where you get tied to something. It's tied to the supply and demand, and more people that buy it, the more of relevance that will be. And you now have hundreds of billions of dollars that are going into this via an ETF, which is why you've seen some of the return numbers be very, very good. Yet again, it was ironic. The return numbers didn't actually go as good as they thought in that first week or two. But boy, oh boy, has it recovered almost 100% since then. So now the volatility of Bitcoin is very high because you see a lot of people buying and selling it. There is a lot of activity. Yet again, you can see everything that's out there. The app that I end up using for something like this is interesting because there is a blockchain ledger that is out there. And so you can literally see the network of what is going on at any given time and where are they in the world. A lot of it's in Europe and in Eastern Europe and also America. So just the idea of the transparency of this is insane. Folks, we are holding a webinar on this and we're looking to come out. And if you want to inquire about it, send it to radio@falconwp.com. It should be in the next few weeks. We're going to have a specialist with Fidelity Digital Assets that's going to be joining me. They're going to be over in New York. I'll be here. We'll find a way to make it really nice and pretty. And it's going to be about, we'll call it 30 minutes long. I don't like long webinars. And the idea is just to learn more and more about it. Lots of what we discussed. But let's talk to this person. I want you guys to ask questions if you attend this webinar. But we're going to go over it a little bit in the second session and more about how Bitcoin works. What is the idea and value of this in you having in your personal portfolio, and taking a look at some other interesting ways that miners are utilizing the technology. Folks, if you have any questions on this, reach out. Phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. We'll be right back after a few words. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. That's on every weekend. We're going over all important topics of personal finance. We're going over retirement planning, making sure you're prepared for retirement, Social Security and strategies, real estate, taxes, avoiding them now and in the future, investments, reducing fees, commissions, and so on, insurance, and estate planning. Folks, we are offering a free financial assessment that you could take advantage of. We have offices all across Southern California, including the Inland Empire. Give us a call to take take advantage. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website, falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short. Enjoy the show. We look forward to serving you. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today we're just talking about Bitcoin because of the halving that's recently happened. It's getting a lot of attention. It's done very well this year. And it's crazy because when I started getting interested in not interested, just it's out there, right? So owning Bitcoin in 2018, it just obviously it's done very well since then, but it wasn't a lot, right? Just having some type of exposure so I could talk in an educated manner to people who are inquiring about it. And so by doing so, if let's just say our clients had 1% exposure into their portfolios, it would have over a 25% value of their total portfolio. It's kind of crazy. And depending on how they're invested, it could be 50% of their overall value. So the growth potential is quite high with it. Now, quite frankly, that type of growth, I think the ship has sailed. I don't think you're going to be able to get 10 and 100x returns anymore. Or if so, it'd be a really, really long time. Yet again, what do I know? There's some experts that are saying it could go to $1 million per Bitcoin. Right now, it's about 60 to 70, depending on the day. So the idea of this is just, there are some people out there that say people are continually using it. I've now seen homes that are sold and they accept Bitcoin. I've also seen cars that are sold that accept Bitcoin. I've seen some industries out there that accept Bitcoin. Now, there was a point in time, certain car dealers were accepting Bitcoin to purchase cars. So this is something that we see more and more up. We see Bitcoin ATMs as well, where you can convert things on your card to buying actual Bitcoin. Now, there are certain wallets that are out there. We'll call Coinbase. It's one of the most popular. Almost all the ETFs that are out there are using Coinbase to house their money. That's where it is custodied at. For example, you might buy a gold ETF, GLD, IAU, whatever the case is, and they're essentially buying gold. Well, where is that gold stored? Now, I know Fort Knox has a lot of gold, but that gold most likely is not being at Fort Knox. So the idea is it's held somewhere. In this case, when you buy an ETF of Bitcoin, it is housed and held somewhere. In this case, a lot of these companies are using Coinbase. And so Fidelity, for example, uses their own. They have their own custodian. They've launched for a few years now called Fidelity Digital Assets. So that is where they decide. So they're doing a little bit differently. They're housing it amongst themselves. And so their own digital custodian. But all that means is your money is held there. So if you do need to make a sale or want to purchase, you would do it through a Coinbase. If you have an ETF, you don't have to worry about that. You've heard people losing hundreds of millions of dollars because they lost a little jump drive and it's in a landfill. So we're in Britain. Like, you've heard things like that right now. And that can, of course, be very scary. Some would say it's unsafe. Now, if you have a Coinbase or somewhere else, sure, you can reset username and passwords just like you can with your normal brokerage account that you may have at Fidelity or Schwab or wherever. The idea of this, though, is the scarce of, oh my goodness, I could lose my money. It's a bit different because at least you have a resource through a custodian. But for those of you who are still taking it off the chain and in the jump drive, be careful. So, because that is just a different way of doing it and could be high risk. So high risk, high reward. Another thing, and some people are doing that because they're thinking, I want it truly decentralized. Like, I truly want nobody to be able to touch it or know I even have it. I've heard some of these people's stories as well. So yet again, our government is able to trace it. Well, part of me jokes saying I feel like the government created it, but that's neither here or there. The thing is, when people were using this illegal activity on the Silk Road, so some people are saying like they don't feel comfortable with investing in this because it has a negative connotation of, back then it was for arms, drugs, a lot of illegal activity was online, firearms. They're saying they didn't like that side of it. Well, the reason I still say it's safe because they're able to track where that coin, if somebody's paying somebody in coin, they can see where it's gone. Well, that person who received it for illegal activity, they don't have to spend it. Very easy to track. You spend it to go buy a new car, or the person who gets the car, hey, you sold the car to who? Well, I don't know. You went by John. Okay, where'd you ship it? And they're able to track it. They could see where every dollar spent. Unlike dollars in cash. US cash currency right now, you can't trace it. I mean, can you? Sure, but it's extremely difficult and rarely works. These are the type of things that you have to understand. That, as some people say, it's exciting about Bitcoin. Another benefit of the blockchain and the technology through the ledger system is that you're easily, cheaply able to transact. Forget just not needing an escrow company. You're able to simply and safely transmit money. But you can get a loan for $100 at 6% very quickly now, because you won't need a bank to facilitate it. It can be simply done through the blockchain. Easy, much easier than before. So there are just many ways this could be of value. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend. We're talking about all important topics of personal finance. I thought, what the heck? This is a good time to talk about Bitcoin, especially having occurred. And this is where people are starting to get excited for it. And it's had such a massive run up. And people don't realize this thing, when it drops, it can really drop. They call it sometimes the crypto winter that comes up, because it goes down and just goes down, and it feels like it takes a while for it to come back up. So that can happen. We're not denying that at all. And also note that still, even though we have this blockchain, even though people are now creating this, utilizing this, and still institutions are now heavily getting involved in it. So it's making it a little bit more reality. There is still very little regulation in this that the cryptocurrency community is asking for. People with Bitcoin want more regulation of this. This is now a multi-trillion-dollar asset class, not including some of the other coins that are out there as well. This is now a substantial player, has a 1 or 2% exposure in our overall United States market capitalization of the United States stock market. You can't just ignore it anymore. It is of value. And so utilizing, maybe putting 1% of your portfolio, 2% of your portfolio could make sense. But the question I have to ask you is your advisor equipped to have that high quality conversation? Is your advisor knowledgeable enough to understand the halving system? How many Bitcoins are out there? How does it work? How does the mining work? Once you have it, where do you store it? Where do you put it? Because now there's a benefit of having an ETF. You don't have to think about it as much. It's just anybody can buy it, and they'll have exposure to it through Gemini through Coinbase, or if they do Fidelity's, through Fidelity Digital Asset, but they have it in the form of an ETF. So it's a lot easier. Depending on how much you want to invest in, does it make sense to do it that way, or directly still buying Bitcoin? Because there's some tax advantages to buying Bitcoin through tax loss harvesting and no wash rule limitation. Do you just want to buy Bitcoin? Are you going to go into Ethers or Litecoin or some other different types of currency that's out there? I know Coinbase has gotten in trouble because they're positioning some of their digital assets, their currency, their crypto as X stocks, the securities. The SEC says this is more of a stock than it is a currency. So there's just so much complication that this can cause. And the question I have for you is, are you getting the right answers to your question? Quite frankly, some say you have to have it. I say, I think you're going to be fine without it. You already have some companies in the Fortune 500 that have exposure into the Bitcoin. I'm just here to tell you that you have to look at your situation and see, can you afford to take a risk? And do you need to? And so then finding the answer of the best way to do it. I'm just here not to say invest in Bitcoin. I'm here to say, I am here to get ready to answer your questions you may have about Bitcoin. And most advisors out there don't know anything about it, because for the longest time, they couldn't get paid on it. That's the difference of working with a wealth planner, a wealth advisor, somebody whose goal is to increase your overall net worth. That's what we do. That's why we have to be educated on it. We've been working with clients who've had millions upon millions upon millions of money in cryptocurrency for 6 years now. 6 years might not seem like a long time, but it actually is quite a long time. And those clients now have well over 8-figure in cryptocurrency, digital assets. So we have to be knowledgeable on this. So thank goodness we were early adopters of being educated on this. took it upon ourselves, to myself, to learn more about this new asset class that's come out here that, quite frankly, has had one of the best returns in the history of any asset that's out there. And it's only been around for what, 15 years or 20, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, we're going on not even 20 years. And so these are the conversations that you just have to be ready to have. And if you're not having anybody where you can have that conversation, how can you liquidate? How can you convert it? How can you reduce your tax burden? What are your goals? How do you want to use that? Whether it's to help give, whether it's to help buy, whether it's to help expand your current financial situation. Because I know by working with people who've had tens of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, they say it's agonizing when you see millions of dollars of swings in a day. And I believe it. Folks, give us a call. We'll be happy to help. This is what we do on a daily basis. And more importantly, we have the experience for someone like you that has exposure potentially to digital assets, or even if you're thinking about doing it. Just because you think you want to do it doesn't mean you should do it. And if you want to, how much are you going to do? Folks, these are the conversations we would love to have with you. Give us a call. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short. Understanding that there's always going to be new technology out there. And the biggest fear that people have, and this is where Warren Buffett said himself, he regrets not getting into technology companies earlier because his rule is he has to understand it. It took him forever to get into Apple because he didn't fully understand the business model. He didn't fully understand technology. I mean, I don't blame him. The guy's 90 plus years old. But don't let that hurt you and hinder you from making good financial and investment decisions. What he should have done is consulted with people who are smarter than him. And smart investors, smart leaders, they find their blind spots and they hire for their blind spots. That's what I try to do here at Falcon. Hire people that are smarter than me at different things and smarter than me just in general. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You want to make sure that you surround your team, whether it's your estate planners, your accountants, your wealth advisors, whatever the case is, with people who can help. Folks, that is all I got for you today. That was a fast show. I want to thank you for tuning in with us. You can always reach out to myself or any one of my colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON. Like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can get this episode or any one of our previous episodes as well. And go to our Knowledge Center. It's fantastic. You can see so many different videos there that can help you in your financial situation. Folks, I want you to enjoy your week. Have a great weekend, and God bless.